Throughout the years, there have been 5 main continuity Robins, starting with Dick Grayson in Detective Comics number 38 in 1940, all the way up to present day with Damian Wayne, Batman's legitimate son. At this point, I'm starting to think that it probably doesn't pay to become Batman's sidekick. Let me explain. While there are probably tons of perks to being the ward to a billionaire playboy with a personal vendetta against crime, I mean, who wouldn't want to swing through the city in booty shorts and pixie boots? I think the cons outweigh the pros. There have been a total of 5 main continuity Robins: Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, and Damian Wayne. Every one of them has died. That's right, outright dead. Now, this being comic books, death usually doesn't last more than a week and a half, and it tends to be used for shock value alone. I mean, it is pretty shocking when someone dies. But still, death sucks, I'd assume. I've yet to die and be revived in a comic book. So we're going to run down a quick list of all of the times that the Robins have died, and then come back from the dead. One will probably die and come back before you're even done watching this video, so you better hurry up. At the top of our list is probably the most famous of the deaths, Jason Todd. The first real death of a Robin wasn't in a weird storyline from the 60s, and it's the one that lasted the longest. Jason Todd was the second Robin after Dick Grayson had spread his wings. Get it? Bird jokes! Because Robins are a type of bird. I'll move on. Jason was first introduced to Batman when he tried to steal the tires off of the Batmobile. Seeing something in a young street punk willing to steal the Bat tires, Batman took him under his wing and made him his new sidekick. Growing up on the streets, life was tough, and Jason wasn't quite as endearing as Dick Grayson. While he did start off popular, his general attitude started to get on the nerves of the fans. He was tough, violent, rebellious, and people did not like that one bit. In 1988, it was decided that it would be up to the fans what the fate of Jason Todd would be. After Jason was abducted by the Joker, people could call in and vote whether he should live or die. With people apparently being as awful as they are, fans decided that Jason didn't deserve life. So he was beaten to near death with a crowbar by the Joker and then blown up. Jason's death would haunt Bruce for a long time and was considered his greatest failure. Staying dead until 2005, he was finally brought back to life by a punch from Superboy Prime that sent ripples throughout the multiverse during the Crisis event. You gotta love comics, people. Since his return, Jason has gone from psychotic supervillain fighting the Bat family to badass anti-hero that leads his own team of misfit heroes. On a side note, the return of Jason Todd's storyline was adapted into the animated feature Under the Red Hood. In the movie, Jason was brought back using the Lazarus Pit instead of a super punch because that makes more sense to mainstream audiences. Other than that, though, it's the same basic plot. Next on our list is Stephanie Brown, the Robin that everyone likes to forget even existed, and probably the person with the shortest tenure as Robin. Stephanie Brown is the one-time girlfriend of Tim Drake and daughter of the villain Cluemaster. After meeting Tim Drake, she took up the persona of Spoiler, helping him fight crime during his own series in the 90s and early 2000s. After Tim Drake left the role of Robin, Stephanie briefly took up the red, green, black, and yellow, and she was quickly fired for disobeying Batman, making her the first female Robin in main canon. Unfortunately, she was kidnapped, tortured, and died during the Batman War Game story arc in 2004. She proved so popular, though, that fans were actually very upset that she didn't get a monument in the Batcave like Jason Todd did, but it turns out that this was for a specific reason. In 2008, it was revealed that Stephanie's death was actually faked by Leslie Tompkins in an effort to prove to Bruce that he shouldn't use children in his crusade. Batman had his suspicions, and that's why she never had a monument. After her return, Stephanie would take up the role of Batgirl, starring in her own series. Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne has a superiority complex and has made terrible decisions. There, I said it anyway. Damian Wayne was born after Bruce and Talia al Ghul shared a night together. Genetically modified in a test tube, he was then raised and trained by the League of Assassins to be a perfect warrior. Eventually, he was brought to Bruce to distract him long enough for the League to carry out one of their world domination plots. While he had a bit of an attitude, Damian would go on to become one of the best Robins, serving alongside his father, and Dick Grayson even took him as his Robin when he took up the cowl as Batman. While defending Wayne Manor from the death cult known as Leviathan, an organization that is led by his mother, Talia al Ghul, Damian fights against the Heretic, a clone of him that has been modified and aged to peak physical condition. Nightwing arrives and the two continue their defense. When Nightwing is knocked out, the Heretic is about to kill him, but Damian jumps in the defense of his partner and brother, honestly. He's no match for the Heretic, though, and is quickly impaled on his sword, dying instantly. Side note, Damian's final dialogue with Nightwing really gets you in the feels. Damian would return, of course, and continue to have an attitude and make bad decisions. Dick Grayson, the first of the Robins. During the Forever Evil story arc, Dick Grayson is beaten to near death and taken captive by the crime syndicate. To show their superiority over the planet, they reveal his identity to the world. He's then hooked up to a nuclear device, a bomb that can only be disarmed if Dick Grayson dies, which isn't a problem for the hero of this story. Lex Luthor. Using a pill that paralyzes the muscles around the heart, Lex effectively killed Dick Grayson for like 3 panels. He was brought back to life using a shot of adrenaline. With his identity revealed and the world thinking that he's dead, Bruce sends the former Robin undercover. He then becomes the agent known as Grayson, taking down the Spiral organization. Tim Drake, the third Robin. Tim Drake took on the role after he showed off his detective skills and learned that Bruce Wayne was Batman and confronted him. It has been said that Tim is actually a better detective than Bruce could ever be. During the DC Rebirth run of Detective Comics, Gotham City was under attack by the Colony, a shadowy military organization trying to become Batman. Using his hacking skills, Tim managed to redirect the first wave of drones that would have destroyed the city, but he was not so lucky with the second wave, and he was killed. For I think a total of like 20 minutes. It was later revealed that Tim never died, but instead he was teleported at the last second to become a prisoner of the villain Mr. Oz, but that's a totally different story. And there you go, every death of a mainstream continuity Robin, no matter how short of time frame it actually was, like 3 panels or 20 minutes. Though this was just the deaths of the Robins in the main canon, people do die all the time in the multiverse. So let's take a quick look at Robin deaths that don't affect the continuity. Injustice Dick Grayson. The Injustice universe is the one where Superman became a big jerk who wants to rule the planet, and a lot of DC superheroes blindly followed him, because in this universe, everyone makes bad decisions. When Superman decides that Arkham isn't secure, he tries to take all of the villains into his own prison. Batman and his resistance arrive to stop him. What follows is a big CGI battle between Superman's regime, Batman's resistance, and the inmates of Arkham. During the fight, Damian throws a temper tantrum at Nightwing, throwing a stick at him, who isn't paying attention and gets knocked unconscious. He passes out, falls, and breaks his neck on a piece of stone. Honestly, it's a pretty lame way for Nightwing to go, although he does go on to become Deadman in the Injustice universe. Injustice Tim Drake. Once again in the Injustice universe, when the Titans try to stop Superman's regime, they're locked away in the Phantom Zone. Eventually, Batman's resistance manages to break them free, and after a heartfelt reunion that lasts for maybe a page, Tim is shot through the heart by General Zod's heat vision, instant death. Honestly, this is one of those comics where you shouldn't get too attached to a character. The Nail Dick Grayson. The Nail is a universe where the Kents never found the young alien baby in a rocket ship, so the world was not gifted with Superman. Many of the heroes are still the same, however, such as Batman. When the Joker gets a hold of Apocalypse tech, he sets out to destroy the Caped Crusader. When Bruce confronts him, he tells Robin and Batgirl to stay back. They don't listen and they're murdered by the Joker right in front of Bruce. Always listen to Batman, kids. Frank Miller's Dark Knight universe is not a happy place. In this universe, Dick Grayson has gone insane and become an unstoppable, superpowered serial killer who wants revenge on Bruce. Realizing that there's no way to reason with his former sidekick, Bruce eventually throws him into a lava pit. Worked for the One Ring, also a way to get rid of your sidekick. The Thrill Killer universe is featured in a 3-part miniseries in a one-shot in 1997. It was Gotham, but during the counterculture revolution in the 1960s. In the title, Dick Grayson is murdered by this universe's version of the Joker, a woman named Bianca Steeplechase, when she seduces and kisses him while wearing poison lipstick. Narrow Path. In this story set in feudal Japan, the Bat Ninja is killed at the very beginning. Vowing vengeance, Robin, a boy named Tengu, sets out to kill the murderers, going against the last wishes of his departed master. Once his vengeance is accomplished, Tengu commits a ritualistic suicide for betraying his master's final wishes. And there you go. And to be clear, the current Dick Grayson is not dead, just the Nightwing persona. I'm sorry, that doesn't count. He got shot in the head and just forgot who he is. Plus, he'll probably come back within the next 10 issues anyway. They always do. If you want more information, more lists from the Comicstorian team, then please consider subscribing to our channel. We try to bring you as much comic book, video game, and movie information as we can, as quickly as we can. I hope to see you around. Please give this video a like, and I'll see you next time.